What's going on, guys? Vegito here, and before this video starts, I have a few announcements to make. First is that we have managed to hit over 250,000 total video views on the channel. And with that, I have a special project I'd like to tell you guys about. Alright, the first project I'd like to tell you guys about is our 250,000 views special, being the remastered version of the first two parts of my most popular What If. What if Ash woke up on time? I decided to remaster these two parts specifically, since when compared to some of my later stuff, they really didn't age that well. So, to fix that, I will be remastering them to get them up to the channel's current standards. Similar to what Ronan Charizard is doing with his What If Ash Was Born in Universe series. My next announcement is that as of recording this video, we are almost 200 subs away from our goal, reaching our goal of 3,000 subscribers. And with that, I'll show you guys something that I have planned to celebrate the occasion. Alright guys, this is the thumbnail for the 3,000 subscriber special that I've been planning behind the scenes for a while now, being What If I Wrote the Pokemon Anime. Now this will be a massive project telling the story of Ash's journey if I wrote the anime. Note, this will cover all of the anime, and not just any particular series. I hope you guys will enjoy this series when it comes out. And now, for our final announcement before this video starts. And this announcement is about the Potara podcast. And I will be planning on releasing the first episode of this podcast once we hit 3,000 subs. And you're probably wondering what the topic for this episode will be. So I'll show you. Welcome to probably the biggest project on my channel, being What If I Wrote the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And this project will consist of all of Marvel's heroes and villains throughout the whole Marvel franchise, such as the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, the Avengers, the Midnight Suns, the Defenders, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and all the others. And for our first movie, I'll be covering the Fantastic Four with Dr. Doom as the villain. I will also be doing a Potara podcast kickoff stream on YouTube, where we'll just be playing games, answering questions, and overall, just hanging out with you guys, the fans. Since you guys are the ones that made this all possible for me. At the bottom of my heart, you guys rock! Now, on to the video! We resume the second half of this part with Serena getting a blue ribbon as a gift from Ash, and Ash fails to catch a Dunsparce again. After Serena loses her first showcase, she gets depressed and gives herself a pretty decent looking haircut, especially considering she didn't even use a mirror. Ash's Goomy manages to evolve twice, as well as Ash's Honedge finally evolving into a Doublade. Clement's Luxio also evolves into a Luxray, and he temporarily leaves the group. Also, Serena's Fennekin evolves in a battle against the Sky's Aria. Ash finally has his gym battle against Clement when he uses Venusaur, Hawlucha, and Goodra against Clement's Bunnelby, Heliolisk, and Luxray. Clement brings out Bunnelby as his first Pokemon. Ash, though momentarily surprised at Clement's choice, decides to start the battle with Venusaur, for it had a type advantage. While Bunnelby and Venusaur are battling, Bonnie realizes that the battle is proceeding in the exact same way. The same attacks, the same responses, and the same successful hits as the very first battle between Ash and Clement. As Ash orders Venusaur to use Vine Whip, and Clement responds by having Bumblebee grab Ash's Venusaur with his ears, which is the same response he made last time. Clement shows off Bumblebee's new move, Wild Charge. It's not very much effect since Venusaur's grass typing resists electric attacks. After 2 dig attacks, with the first one successful and the second one stopped by a Sludge Bomb, Venusaur lands a final blow on Bumblebee and eliminates it from the match. For his second Pokemon, Clement chooses Heliolisk, and Ash recalls Venusaur in favor of Goodra. Despite Goodra's powerful Dragon Pulse nearly hitting its mark, Heliolisk proves to be extremely agile and takes advantage of that. Goodra is helpless against Heliolisk's barrage of attacks, culminating in its paralysis with Thunder Wave. Realizing that Goodra can't defeat Heliolisk, Ash substitutes Hawlucha for it. Although Heliolisk is the power Hawlucha as well with its combinations of Flash and Parabolic Charge. Ash notices Heliolisk is momentarily vulnerable during the second it takes to open its frills. This to his advantage, Ash orders Hawlucha to execute a point-blank high jump kick, knocking Heliolisk out. With Ash having all 3 of his Pokemon left, and Clement just 1, this match is very decidedly leaning in Ash's favor. However, Clement calls on Luxray, his most powerful Pokemon. After using Electric Terrain, Luxray easily knocks out Hawlucha with a single Wild Charge, and still has massive trouble taking out Venusaur, but Luxray ends up getting poisoned in the process, and is close to fainting, leaving Ash with 1 and Clement with a poisoned Luxray. With only Ash's paralyzed Goodra left, the battle is suddenly shifted to favor Clement instead. Immediately after calling Goodra out, Ash hasn't used Rain Dance. The Rain Dance both wipes out the Electric Terrain, and due to Goodra having the ability Hydration, cures its paralysis. 2 Pokemon, now on even footing, exchange attack after attack. Finally, however, Luxray falls to Goodra's Bite attack. Ash then gets his 5th gym badge added to his case, and at Serena's suggestion, decides to head to Lavere City for his 6th gym battle. Professor Sycamore managed to find another keystone, and is finally able to Mega Evolve his Garchomp, and learns the identity of Blaziken Mask, Lumio City's own Mass Vigilante. Goodra learns how to use Ice Speed to stop an invasion of its homeland, but Goodra decides to stay with Ash in this timeline, so he gets stronger. Ash then offers his Doublade the opportunity to evolve into an Aegislash, but it ultimately declines, saying that it's not ready to evolve yet. Ash then has a gym battle with Valerie, which is a 2-on-2, with Ash using Doublade and Hawlucha. Valerie immediately calls out her Sylveon, and Ash calls out his Doublade, since its Steel typing would be advantageous against a Fairy type like Sylveon. Doublade begins the battle with a Swords Dance, and Sylveon responds with a disarming voice. But however, Doublade uses a new move it's been working on, Sacred Sword! But as Doublade's blades go for the attack, Sylveon grabs the blades with its feelers, and Judo throws Doublade to the ground. So Doublade uses Shadow Ball to throw Sylveon off guard, so it can connect with a super effective Iron Head, and leave Sylveon close to fainting. Although Sylveon fires a Moonblast at Doublade. Doublade uses their Iron Head to knock out Sylveon. Valerie calls out Spritzy as her last Pokemon, although Ash decides to call back Doublade to send in, much to everyone's surprise, Hawlucha to battle Spritzy, despite its type disadvantage. Hawlucha opens with Karate Chop, and Spritzy dodges, and once again uses Trick Room. After Spritzy hits Hawlucha with another Moonblast, Ash comments on Spritzy's strength with Hawlucha, responding to Valerie's query if he can speak to Pokemon as well. Ash explains that he can sense rather than translate what his Pokemon are saying. Hawlucha then uses X-Scissor, but it misses and hits the wall of Trick Room. Working with Hawlucha's battle style of taking on opponent's attacks, Ash orders Hawlucha to grab onto Spritzy, just as it connects with Gyro Ball. Using his speed from Spritz's attack, Halucha bounces off of the wall and executes a spinning X-Scissor, cutting through Dazzling Gleam and ramming Spritzy with enough force to shatter the Trick Room. Clement then realized that X-Scissor was so effective on the Trick Room because it's a Bug-type move and Trick Room with a Psychic-type technique. As Halucha and Spritzy continue exchanging attacks, Halucha finally defeats his opponent with a high jump kick. Ash manages to get his 6th gym badge without even losing a single Pokemon. Ash and Sawyer have another battle between Frogadier and Trico, with Sawyer's Trico evolving into a Grovyle during the battle in the process. Ash, however, doesn't catch Noibat in this timeline, since Ash decides to focus on his same team for now and bring his reserves in for the Kalos League. Ash doesn't enter the Flying type rally in this timeline due to the fact that he only has Halucha for Flying types. Serena manages to win her first Pokemon Showcase in Dendemil Town. Jessie manages to evolve her Pumpkaboo into a Gourgeist after trading it for a Mawile, but she decides to trade back. Serena breaks her stick and gets it mended, plus she learns Fire Blast in the process. Pyroar learns Noble Roar when trying to save Ash from an angry Moltres. Bonnie befriends a Tyrant, which evolves while protecting her from Team Rocket. And Clement catches the Tyrantrum for Bonnie, since honestly, she should have got that Tyrantrum in canon. Clement tells the story of how he got his Bunnelby. Serena finds him at the Anstar City Showcase and catches an Eevee. Serena manages to win her 2nd Princess Key in the Anstar Pokemon Showcase. Ash then challenges Olympia and her 2 Meowstic to a battle, with Ash deciding to use Venusaur and Frogadier. The battle begins with the male Meowstic using Helping Hand, and the female Meowstic using Future Sight. Ash commands Frogadier to use Aerial Ace, and Venusaur to use Sludge Bomb, but the 2 Meowstic dodge using their psychic powers. The Meowstic then fly through the air with these psychic powers, and Ash tells his Pokemon to watch their movements carefully. Ash then commands Venusaur to use Leaf Storm on the male, and Frogadier to use Water Pulse on the female. The male Meowstic uses Light Screen, which defends both Meowstics from their attacks. And then the female Meowstic attacks Venusaur with Dark Pulse, causing it to fall. However, Venusaur uses Vine Whips to catch himself. Professor Sycamore, who is watching on, comments to the group that the male's ability must be Prankster, enabling support moves like Light Screen to occur before Ash's Pokemon can attack. Olympia then commands both Meowstic to use Psyshock. Venusaur and Frogadier try to dodge, but the moves follow them due to the female Meowstic's ability Keen-Eye. Both Pokemon are hit, while Ash tries to counterattack, but Future Sight hits them with perfect timing. Ash then commands Venusaur to use Solar Beam and Frogadier to use Double Team. The Meowstic counter with Helping Hand and Dark Pulse, which destroys all the false Double Team images and forms smoke in the air. Frogadier then uses Cut, and the female Meowstic uses Dark Pulse, but Venusaur appears from the smoke to attack the female Meowstic. Olympia commands the Meowstic to use Thunder Wave against Venusaur, but instead hits Frogadier, who protects Venusaur. Frogadier falls to the ground paralyzed. Ash uses his Keystone and Mega Evolves his Venusaur, while Venusaur has Frogadier provide a distraction, so he can charge up a Solar Beam. Although Frogadier uses a Water Pulse to knock out the female Meowstic, making the battle 2-on-1 in Ash's favor. Olympia's male Meowstic uses a Psyshock, so Venusaur and Frogadier decide to combine Water Pulse and Solar Beam, with the Water Pulse being combined with a Solar Beam from Mega Venusaur to take the win. Ash gets his Psychic Badge and a new Pokédex, with Ash sending out all of his Pokemon to celebrate the win, with Doublade asking Ash for the Dust Stone. So Doublade finally evolves into Aegislash and learns King Shield in the process. Bonnie befriends a Zygarde core that she named Squishy. Professor Sycamore reunites with the group and gets to research Squishy. Ash's Pyroar finally returns to his pride and deals with his father, who kicked him out of the pride. So Pyroar uses Noble Roar and Flamethrower in a combo against his dad, although this would lead to outrage from the rest of the pride. since this newcomer just attacked their king. With Pyroar's dad saying that Pyroar had gotten strong and tries to invite it to rejoin the Pride, although Pyroar would choose to stay with his friends, with Pyroar's dad thanking Ash and Venusaur for taking care of Pyroar all this time. Ash's Frogadier finally evolves into Greninja and discovers a mysterious transformation similar to Mega Evolution, with Venusaur taking note of this and ultimately deciding to mentor Greninja on how to master this transformation. Serena ends up losing the Kurobe City Showcase to Jessie, who used Magnezone, Meowth, and Gourgeist. Ash encounters Team Flare in Terminus Cave and uses both Mega Venusaur and Greninja's new transformation, along with Zygarde 10%. Serena gets invited to a fancy party for Pokemon performers and has to battle Jessie and James using her Eevee along with Ash's Venusaur, with Eevee managing to evolve into Sylveon to take the win. Ash meets Alain and has a double battle with him since he wants to test Ash's Venusaur and see its mysterious transformation that Ash's Greninja has. Alain sends out his Metang and Charizard, with Metang using Metal Claw on Greninja and Charizard using Flamethrower on Venusaur. The Greninja using Water Shuriken to block the Flamethrower for hitting Venusaur, with Ash deciding to Mega Evolve his Venusaur and uses Solar Beam to take Metang out of the fight, making this fight 2-on-1 in Ash's favor. Greninja then activates his mysterious transformation, with Alain telling Ash that his Mega Ring couldn't sense any Mega Energy from it. So Ash rules out this transformation as Mega Evolution, with Greninja attacking Charizard, although he takes a Thunder Punch in the process. Alain Mega Evolving his Charizard, with Charizard having some trouble taking on both Greninja's mysterious transformation and Mega Venusaur, with Charizard using a Blast Burn against Venusaur's Solar Beam and Greninja's Water Shuriken, with the two attacks still not being enough to hit down Charizard, although it would come really close, since Ash would pass out soon after, since with Greninja's transformation, Ash feels any damage that Greninja takes. Serena, with her newly evolved Sylveon, manages to win her third Princess Key and enters into the Master Class. Serena finally arrives in the Master Class and manages to get to the finals, but she still gets outright crushed by Arya. Serena ends up dressing up as Ash to battle a trainer while using Venusaur, although she wouldn't be able to Mega Evolve Ash's Venusaur since Ash has the Keystone. Venusaur and Greninja try to work together to figure out what triggers Greninja's transformation, with Clement eventually making a device to track Ash and Greninja in a battle with Alain, with Ash and Greninja being closer to mastering the transformation than in canon thanks to Venusaur's help, although Ash still passes out afterward. Ash has another battle with Diantha and her Mega Gardevoir, with Greninja managing to master the Ash Greninja transformation in this timeline due to Venusaur's help, although Diantha still beats Ash since fairy types like Gardevoir are strong against dark types like Greninja. Ash manages to beat Sawyer in their battle on this timeline, mainly due to his stronger Pokemon and Greninja mastering the Ash Greninja transformation earlier. Ash finally arrives at Snowbelle City and challenges Wolfric for a final gym battle, which is 3-on-3, with Ash using Hawlucha, Aegislash, and Greninja against Wolfric's Bergmite, Avalugg, and Abomasnow. Wolfric sends out Bergmite as his first Pokemon. At first, Ash becomes a little confused over Wolfric's choice, but quickly sends in Aegislash as his first Pokemon. Bergmite decides to use the Ice Battlefield to its advantage, with Ash ordering Aegislash to stay in the air until absolutely necessary, with Bergmite using Ice Beam against Aegislash, although Ash orders a King Shield to protect itself, afterward letting Bergmite get close and uses Iron Head to slam Bergmite to the ground, with Bergmite using the Ice Beam to try and freeze Aegislash, although Ash orders Aegislash use its shield to block the Ice Beam. Although this freezes the shield, Aegislash drops its shield and lands a Shadow Sneak into a Sacred Sword to take Bergmite out of the fight. Wolfric sends out Avalugg as his second Pokemon, although Aegislash is weakened and without a shield, with Avalugg using Avalanche and Gyro Ball to hit Aegislash hard, with Aegislash using Sacred Sword to clash with Avalugg's Gyro Ball, although Aegislash would be close to fainting afterward, with Aegislash using Iron Head to hit Avalugg, although Aegislash would fall to a Gyro Ball. Hawlucha comes out as Ash's second Pokemon. Hawlucha starts off with Flying Press, landing a hit on Avalugg. Wulfric realizes that Hawlucha has Spirit, but Hawlucha would take a little damage, since landing on packed ice like that would be equivalent to diving onto a hard, floor-like surface. Hawlucha uses High Jump Kick, but gets hit by Avalugg's Gyro Ball. Avalugg charges head-on on her Gyro Ball, but Hawlucha evades the attack and knocks it down with Flying Press. Hawlucha uses High Jump Kick, circles around Avalugg, and hits it in the face, defeating it. Wulfric finally sends out Abomasnow as his last Pokemon, with its snowboarding ability activating to set Hail. With Hawlucha deciding to use Flying Press again, although Abomasnow uses Woodhammer. Hawlucha uses High Jump Kick, but gets hit by Abomasnow's Ice Shard. Abomasnow charges head-on with Woodhammer, but Hawlucha evades the attack and knocks it down with Flying Press. Abomasnow uses Avalanche to take out Hawlucha, making a battle of one-on-one between Abomasnow and Greninja. Ash sends out Greninja and his last Pokemon against Abomasnow. Greninja opens with 2 successful Aerial Aces followed by 2 Water Shurikens. After that, it successfully stops Abomasnow's Energy Ball with Cut. Going back to its side of the arena, Greninja flinches from the pain caused from the hail. Abomasnow tries to strike with Woodhammer, but it stops when Greninja freezes itself on ice. Breaking out of the icy shield, Ash and Greninja decide to activate Ash Greninja, well, the Ash Greninja form again, and gain the upper hand. Wulfric immediately notices the differences in Greninja and its trainer, to which Ash proclaims they become even stronger. Ash Greninja launches back into battle with a series of aerial ice attacks. Abomasnow tries to fight back with Woodhammer, but is stopped by Ash Greninja's Cut, which has now manifested itself with the Parakunai, formed with water, similar to Water Shuriken. Ash Greninja then follows up with a giant Water Shuriken. Impressed and backed into a corner, Wulfric reveals a Keystone embedded in his locket and Mega Evolves as Abomasnow. Ash Greninja attacks another Water Shuriken, but Mega Abomasnow's Ice Punch freezes and shatters it. Mega Abomasnow follows up with Ice Shard, which strikes Ash Greninja. Ash and Greninja combine Double Team and Aerial Ace, attacking Mega Abomasnow in droves. But Mega Abomasnow knocks out the clones with Woodhammer and strikes Ash Greninja. Starting at the upper hand in battle, Mega Abomasnow launches another series of Ice Shards, but Ash Greninja strikes them down with Enhanced Cut. As Ash Greninja approaches, Mega Abomasnow counters with Ice Punch, freezing Ash Greninja's Kunai, or Water Kunai. Just as Mega Abomasnow attempts to finish the battle with an extremely powerful Woodhammer, Ash made Ash Greninja use frozen water knives to skate on the icy battlefield, greatly enhancing the mobility and allowing it to dodge Woodhammer and Ice Shard. Ash Greninja distracts Wulfric with a giant Water Shuriken aimed at Mega Abomasnow's feet, allowing Ash Greninja to finish the fight with another series of Aerial Aces. Ash Greninja reverts back to normal. Ash and his friends let out a cheer. Ash finally gets his 8th badge added to his case. Now, all that's left for this part is the Kalos League and the Team Flare arc. Ash and Co. finally arrive back in Lubio City to enter the Kalos League, where Ash once again decides to use his reserves for the league along with his Kalos Pokemon. Ash also reunites with Tierno, Trevor, Sawyer, Alain, and Misty, who reveals her new Keystone and that she can now Mega Evolve her Gyarados. The Kalos League begins with Ash versus Titus, Alain versus Trevor, Misty versus a random trainer, Tierno versus a random trainer, and Sawyer versus a random trainer. Misty, Tierno, and Sawyer all win their matches, so let's move on to the matches that somewhat matter. being Ash versus Titus and Alain versus Trevor. Ash and Alain's battles would go as canon, although Ash's would be easier due to a stronger Ash Greninja. Ash and Alain would also move on to the next round, with Ash battling Astrid and her Mega Absol with his Blaziken. And now, we can get to the matches that actually matter, being our 2 semi-final matches and our final match, with the 2 semi-final matches being Ash versus Sawyer and Misty versus Alain. Let's look at Misty versus Alain first, since Alain's match was first in canon, with Alain using Charizard, Metagross, Tyranitar, Chestnut, Unpheasant, and Weavile. Misty will be using her Gyarados, Jellicent, Barbaracle, Starmie, Walrein, and Quagsire. Quagsire and Weavile come out first, with Weavile opening the battle with a quick attack, with Quagsire using a Surf, although Alain orders an Ice Beam to freeze a Surf and freeze Quagsire's legs in place, although Misty orders a Scald to thaw itself out, with Misty showing a new move with her Quagsire, Toxic, with Weavile being put on the clock. Weavile then uses Night Slash and uses an Ice Beam on the blades to power it up to hit Quagsire hard. Weavile uses Double Team to try and get the upper hand on Quagsire, but Misty tells the Water Fish to use Water Gun in a spinning maneuver, kind of like a sprinkler, to eventually hit Weavile. Weavile then uses Ice Beam to take out Quagsire, leaving Misty with 5, and without a counter to Charizard's Thunder Punch, which Ash warned her about. Misty decides to send in her Barbaracle next, with it using Stone Edge to finish off the weakened Weavile. Alain calls in his Metagross next, with it using Meteor Mash to hit Barbaracle hard, although Barbaracle lands a Scald to cause a burn, which afterward, Barbaracle follows up with a Liquidation, although Metagross uses Psychic to stop it. Misty then calls back her Barbaracle for her Gyarados, with Gyarados using Flamethrower to hit Metagross hard, and finishes off the metallic Pokemon with an Earthquake attack, leaving Alain with 4. So Alain decides to call in his Chestnut next. I decided to swap out his Bisharp to not have any type overlap, and to introduce it before the Masters 8. Chestnut uses a spiky shield to defend from Gyarados' Ice Fang, with Chestnut firing a Hammer Arm at Gyarados, which wouldn't really do that much, but Misty ultimately decides to call their Gyarados back for Starmie, due to its Psychic typing being rather advantageous against a Chestnut, with it using a Psychic to hit Chestnut hard. Although Chestnut fires a Pin Missile at Starmie with a super effective move, leaving some good damage. Although Starmie uses Recover to heal itself, with Starmie using Psychic to lead Chestnut close to fainting. So Alain has Chestnut use Wood Hammer in combination with Pin Missile to take Starmie down. Misty calls in her Jellicent next, with her using Shadow Ball, which in combination with the recoil damage of Wood Hammer would take out Chestnut, leaving Alain with 3, while Misty has 4. Alain decides to send in his Tyranitar next, with its Sandstream ability activated to set up a Sandstorm. Tyranitar uses Dark Pulse to hit Jellicent hard, with Jellicent landing a Hydro Pump on Tyranitar, and would take a lot of damage. So Tyranitar uses Stone Edge to hit Jellicent, although Jellicent's Cursed Body ability activates and disables the move. So Tyranitar uses Thunder Fang next, although Jellicent uses Hydro Pump, which take them both down in a double knockout, leaving Misty with Barbaracle, Gyarados, and Walrein against Alain's Unpheasant and Charizard. Charizard and Walrein come out next, with Alain deciding to use Thunder Punches in rapid succession to hit Walrein for heavy damage, although Walrein uses Ice Beam to freeze one of Charizard's wings. So Alain has Charizard use Flamethrower to thaw it out, and finishes off Walrein with Thunder Punch, making the battle 2-on-2. With Misty calling out her Barbaracle next to try and hit Charizard with some Rock-type moves, since she has thought Ash's Charizard on multiple occasions. Although Alain decides to swap out Charizard for Unpheasant, with it using Steel Wing to hit Barbaracle, but Barbaracle uses Stone Edge to leave Unfezant close to fainting. So Alain has it use Steel Wing and Sky Attack in a combination to hit Barbaracle hard, knocking it out, which leaves Misty with just her Gyarados. So she calls it out and takes out Unfezant rather easily with Ice Fang, leaving Alain to send in his Charizard, with the two agreeing to Mega Evolve their Pokemon at the same time. Alain's into Mega Charizard X, and Misty's into Mega Gyarados, with Gyarados using an Earthquake, which actually hits Charizard, since Charizard lost its Ground-type immunity when Mega Evolves. Well, into Mega Charizard X. Charizard uses Dragon Claw to attack Gyarados, although Charizard is a bit shaken from the Earthquake. Misty follows up with an Outrage, which hits Charizard hard, with Charizard using Thunder Punch, and finishing off Gyarados with a Dragon Claw and Thunder Punch combo attack, allowing Alain to move on to the finals. Ash thinking, if even Misty lost to Alain, what chance would he stand against him? Now, on to our other semi-final match. Ash versus Sawyer. Ash will be using Venusaur, Greninja, Pyroar, Aegislash, Hawlucha, and Goodra in Sawyer's Sceptile, Salamence, Slurpuff, Flowitzer, Aegislash, and Slacking. Ash chooses Hawlucha as his first Pokemon. In response, Sawyer sends out his Slacking. Ash takes the initiative with a Karate Chop from Hawlucha, which directly hits Slacking, but Slacking doesn't even flinch. Next, Ash tries a high jump kick, followed by an X Scissor, and to little apparent effect. In the stands, Clement notes that Hawlucha's battle style usually involves building his own momentum by taking attacks from his opponent, making a battle against an unmoving Slacking tough for him. Ash continues by ordering a barrage of Karate Chops. But while Slacking appears to be taking damage, it's still not reacting like it's being hurt by Hawlucha's attacks. Sawyer then has his Slacking use Slack Off, restoring its health. Wary of whatever strategy Sawyer comes up with, Ash resolves to push through before he can pull it off. He commands a high jump kick followed by an X Scissor, and when they still appear to be having little effect, he orders Hawlucha to use Flying Press. Upon seeing this, however, Sawyer yells out Slacking for the Slacking to use Counter with a hard-hitting punch. Slacking's fist intercepts Hawlucha in the middle with a descent out of the air and sends him flying back. Hawlucha hits a tree and falls to the ground, unconscious and out of the battle. Ash compliments Sawyer on his superb strategy and sends out Pyroar. Pyroar uses Fire Blast, but Slacking once again heals up with Slack Off. Nevertheless, Ash remains undaunted, confident that Hawlucha's attacks have had an effect, and orders a Flame Charge. Sawyer tries to counter this with a Hammer Arm, but as Slacking stands to deliver its blow, all of the damage Hawlucha inflicted on it finally kicks in, and suddenly falters onto one knee, thus enabling Pyroar to push back Slacking's attack to connect with its own. As Slacking reels, Ash quickly commands Pyroar to follow up with Hyper Beam, and hits Slacking to knock it out. Sawyer sends in his Clawitzer for his second Pokemon, taking advantage of Pyroar's water weakness. Pyroar is still recharging with a Hyper Beam, and Clawitzer has the mobility advantage. So Sawyer orders Clawitzer to chase Pyroar throughout the arena, and not letting him recharge, with Clawitzer managing to finish off Pyroar rather easily with a liquidation, leaving Ash with 4. Ash ultimately calls out his starter as his third Pokemon, with Venusaur using a Sludge Bomb, while Clawitzer freezes it with Ice Beam, with Venusaur using Vine Whips to hold off Clawitzer as he charges up a Solar Beam, with Venusaur grabbing Clawitzer with the Vine Whips and knocks out Clawitzer with only one shot. Sawyer sends out his Aegislash, with Ash deciding to call back Venusaur for later, since Venusaur wouldn't really be too useful against an Aegislash. Ash ends up calling out his Aegislash for his fourth Pokemon, with the two haunted weapons changing to blade form and beginning to clash, with Ash's Aegislash using Shadow Ball, although Sawyer's Aegislash blocks it with King Shield, which Sawyer's Aegislash decided to strike back with Night Slash, which would deal super effective damage, although Ash's Aegislash gets the idea to slice up all the trees with Sacred Sword and throwing at chunks of wood heading towards Sawyer's Aegislash, which he orders a King Shield, although Ash orders his Aegislash to throw a piece of wood into Sawyer's Aegislash's shield, which would prevent it from pulling off a King Shield, with Ash's Aegislash taking the win with a Swords Dance boosted Shadow Sneak. Salamence comes out next for Sawyer after a field change, with Salamence using Flamethrower on Aegislash, but Aegislash uses King Shield to protect itself with using Shadow Sneak again. Although this would connect, Salamence uses this as an opportunity to use Crunch on Aegislash and uses Flamethrower to torch it, leaving Ash, which has Venusaur, Goodra, and Greninja. Goodra comes out next, with the two Dragon types clashing with Dragon Pulse and Dragon Rush, respectively, with Goodra even using an Ice Beam to hit Salamence hard, although Salamence would land an Outrage, which makes Goodra take massive damage, although Goodra hits Salamence with a Bide to take it out of the fight, leaving Sawyer with 2. Slurpuff comes out next. Sawyer starts off the battle with Slurpuff using Flamethrower, which Goodra intercepts with an Ice Beam. Sawyer immediately uses Dazzling Gleam, which is super effective on Goodra, but Goodra appears to shrug it off. Sawyer then orders Fairy Wind as a follow-up, but Ash has Goodra use Bide. Anticipating the upcoming attack, Sawyer has Slurpuff use Cotton Guard to raise his defense, or Ash orders Goodra to fire off Bide. The attack appears to have minimal effect. Surprised, Ash orders Goodra to use Ice Beam, but Slurpuff intercepts it with Flamethrower, resulting in a large cloud of steam. Taking advantage of the cloud, Sawyer commands Slurpuff to use Fairy Wind, which catches Goodra off guard and sends it flying back. Sawyer proclaims that Slurpuff sent a smell, helping him locate Goodra through the steam. Slurpuff uses Flamethrower again, and Ash commands Bide, and Sawyer hopes to hold the Flamethrower and push through Goodra's Bide to knock it out. After a prolonged battle of wills, however, Slurpuff's Flamethrower finally ends in a large burst. Goodra is knocked out from all the damage it sustained, not only from its battle with Slurpuff, but also its battle with Salamence. Ash is now also down to 2, with him calling Venusaur back out to fight Slurpuff. And since Slurpuff is a fairy type, Venusaur decides to mainly rely on Sludge Bomb to help secure the win. Venusaur firing multiple Sludge Bombs in Slurpuff, although Sawyer uses Flamethrower to block the sludge. So Venusaur decides to use Sleep Powder on Slurpuff, which works and allows Venusaur to hit multiple Sludge Bombs on Slurpuff before it wakes up, and due to its previous battle with Goodra, this would knock out Slurpuff, leaving Sawyer with just his trusty Sceptile. Sawyer then sends out his 6th and final Pokemon, Sceptile. In the stands, Ash's friends worry about his prospects against Sceptile. Ash keeps Venusaur in and immediately opens the battle with Sludge Bomb. In response, Sawyer has Sceptile use Leaf Storm to keep him at a distance. Leaf Storm lifts Venusaur into the air, and Ash commands him to use Solar Beam, which reaches Sceptile through the Leaf Storm and cuts it off. Venusaur then attacks from the air with Vine Whip, but Sceptile grabs the Vine Whip and manages to throw Venusaur back. Sawyer immediately orders Sceptile to use Frenzy Plant, which Venusaur tries to dodge, but it quickly surrounds him and lifts him into the air from arcing down to slam him into the ground, in which Venusaur uses a final Sludge Bomb hunt and hits Sceptile, leaving it poisoned as Venusaur goes down. But Ash down to his final Pokemon, he sends out Greninja to face Sceptile, who's now on a time limit due to the poison. Ash opens with Water Shuriken, but Sceptile cuts through with Dragon Claw. Greninja uses Double Team to approach, but Sceptile attacks with Frenzy Plant to weed out the copies. Only the real Greninja is left. Sawyer commands Sceptile to attack with Leaf Blade, but Greninja blocks Sceptile's strikes with its own cut. As Sceptile and Greninja square off again, both Sawyer and Ash take a breath to contemplate the events that led them to this battle. Sawyer remembers how he started off awed by Ash and can only chase his shadow, and now he hopes that by defeating Ash, he'll be able to reach greater heights. Ash, meanwhile, silently apologizes to Sawyer for becoming scared and panicking when he felt Sawyer had surpassed him. But after that, he was able to find himself again. He promises to show Sawyer what he and his Pokemon can really do. Ash and Sawyer prepare to use their full power, with Ash activating Ash Greninja against Sawyer's Mega Sceptile. Picking up their battle once more, Sceptile uses Frenzy Plant, uses Greninja leaps to dodge. The vines immediately reach to pluck Greninja from the air, but Greninja uses Cut to slice through it and land safely. Ash commands Greninja to throw a Water Shuriken, but Sceptile cuts through a Dragon Claw. But Greninja is already closing the distance and uses Aerial Ace to land a couple of super effective blows. As Sceptile reels, Sawyer orders a Leaf Storm, which connects with Greninja and knocks it back. As Greninja lands, the two close again in a clash of blades, hitting Leaf Blade against Cut. With neither able to gain an advantage, they separate again, and Sceptile launches a Leaf Storm and knocks Greninja into the air again. As Greninja falls, Sawyer orders Sceptile to press the attack with Frenzy Plant, but Greninja manages to orient itself and lands securely on top the vines, racing along him using Cut to slice its way through our pressure. However, the vines manage to keep Greninja from advancing on Sceptile. Ash's friends in the stands worry, while Professor Sycamore marvels at the Ash Greninja transformation. Finally, Greninja jumps into the air, avoiding most of the vines, thanks to this double team. Ash warns Sawyer that he's giving him everything that he and Greninja have, and as Greninja uses Water Shuriken, it grows to a massive size. Sawyer frantically orders Sceptile to counter a Leaf Storm, and the two attacks collide into a massive cloud of dust. As the dust clears, Sceptile is revealed unconscious on the ground, as Greninja lands beside Ash, victorious. Ash and Sawyer shake hands, as Ash moves on to the finals to fight Alain, where Ash decides to use his 6 strongest Pokemon to give him the best chance of winning. Those Pokemon are Venusaur, Greninja, Charizard, Snorlax, Rhyperior, and Luxray. Alain will use the same team he used against Misty. As a quick recap, that team is Charizard, Metagross, Chestnut, Weavile, Tyranitar, and Unpheasant. Alain sends in Tyranitar for his first Pokemon, and Ash calls out his trusty Venusaur first. Alain begins the battle by commanding a Dark Pulse from his Tyranitar. Venusaur avoids the attack, but Venusaur follows up with Sludge Bomb, which is countered by a Stone Edge from Tyranitar. And Alain has his Pokemon smash the stones with its tail, sending a barrage of stone pieces to the Plant Frog Pokemon, only to be reflected back with Vine Whip. Tyranitar follows up with Crunch, but Venusaur uses Solar Beam, and thus causes the Armor Pokemon to faint. Alain sends in his Weavile, while Ash exchanges Venusaur for Rhyperior, with Rhyperior using a Stone Edge to try and get a quick victory, although Weavile uses Ice Beam on the water and freezes it with the ice, hitting Rhyperior for super effective damage. Alain tells Weavile to capitalize on this with multiple Ice Beams, although Rhyperior charges with a massive Rock Wrecker. This would send Weavile crashing into a wall, allowing Rhyperior to knock out Weavile with a Stone Edge. Alain sends in his Chestnut, with Rhyperior trying to put up a fight. Although Rhyperior will be able to land a Mega Horn, Chestnut will be able to take out the Rhinoceros Pokemon with a Wood Hammer, leaving Ash with 5. Ash calls in his Snorlax, with Snorlax using an Ice Punch on Chestnut, although it uses Spiky Shield to defend itself. It lands a Hammer Arm to Snorlax's gut, with Snorlax losing its lunch. Although Snorlax would be angered by this, which as we've seen with Harrison's hit though in canon, you don't want to make Ash's Snorlax angry. Snorlax uses Hyper Beam, uses a rocket, and lands a massive body slam on Chestnut, to leave it close to fainting, with Chestnut using Wood Hammer against Snorlax's Hyper Beam, which will result in a double knockout. Alain's left with 3, while Ash has 4. Ash calls on his Luxray next against Alain's Unpheasant. Luxray uses Thunderbolt on Unpheasant with a bird using Steel Wing to try and block it. Alain orders a Sky Attack, with Ash ordering Luxray to wait for it to get close and then hit it with Thunder Fang. With this maneuver working, leaving Unfezant paralyzed, and allowing Luxray to go in for a knockout with Thunderbolt, moving Alain with 2 while Ash still has 4. Metagross comes out as Alain's 5th Pokemon, with Ash ordering Luxray to use Fire Fang, although Metagross uses Psychic to hold Luxray in place, and uses Meteor Mash to hit Luxray hard, with Metagross getting attack increase. Metagross fires a Giga Impact and lands an Earthquake to knock out Luxray, leaving Ash with 3. Ash decides to send in his Charizard as his 5th Pokemon, with Charizard deciding to use Flamethrower against Metagross, although Metagross uses Stone Edge. Ash orders Charizard to use Steel Wing to glide through them, and finishes off Metagross with a Flamethrower. Alain sends out his Charizard as his last Pokemon, to deal with Ash's Charizard, Mega Venusaur, and Ash Greninja. The 2 Charizards clash with Flamethrowers. Alain's Charizard uses Dragon Claw to try and hit Ash's Charizard, with Ash's Charizard using its signature Seismic Toss on Alain's Charizard. Alain decides that playtime is over and Mega Evolves his Charizard, with Alain's Charizard using Thunder Punch to leave Ash's Charizard paralyzed. Ash's Charizard tries to put up a good fight against Mega Charizard with Flamethrowers and Dragon Tail, although Ash's Charizard gets knocked out with a Thunder Punch to decrease Ash's lead, meaning if Ash wants to win the Kalos League, it's all up to an already damaged Venusaur and fresh Greninja. Venusaur comes out next, and Ash immediately Mega Evolves him. Venusaur prepares to take on Charizard and Poke Fisticuffs, with Venusaur using Sludge Bomb and Leaf Storm, although Charizard's Flamethrower burns through the Leaf Storm's relative ease. However, the Sludge Bomb still connects and leaves Charizard poisoned, meaning Charizard is on a time limit. Venusaur then charged up a Solar Beam, with Charizard using Blast Burn, with the 2 attacks being in a beam struggle, with Charizard winning, although it's severely weakened after this struggle, and Venusaur is back to his base form, unconscious. Ash sends out his last Pokemon, Greninja, with Ash realizing that he's gonna need Ash Greninja right away. So, they activate Ash Greninja. And remember, this is a stronger Greninja than in canon, and Charizard is currently weaker than he was when he fought Greninja in canon, due to not only the poison, but also battling Ash's Charizard and Mega Venusaur beforehand. Greninja uses Double Team with Charizard mowing down a copies with Flamethrower, with Greninja emerging from the smoke to fire a Water Shuriken at Charizard. Charizard uses Dragon Claw, with Greninja using Cut in a clash, with Greninja using an Aerial Ace to leave Charizard really close to fainting. Greninja then hops back and charges with a massive Water Shuriken, with Charizard using Blast Burn, or with the Water Shuriken winning the clash, and knocking out Charizard, allowing Ash to win the Kalos League in this timeline. I figured after having Ash lose a league in the finals twice in a row, I'd throw Ash a bone and let him win the Kalos League, especially since he should have won this league in canon. The Team Flare Arc can go as canon except the Aftermath. Ash will not be releasing Greninja, and at this point, Ash is an outright idiot for releasing his strongest Pokemon at the time, even if it was for a good reason. So instead, I will have Ash bring Greninja with him to Alola, and with that, I can finally end off this insanely long part. So remember, since we have the What If rotation, none of the What Ifs in the rotation will have like goals. Since they're in the rotation, I mean their parts are guaranteed. We'll go ahead and get on out of here. Peace!